I'm your host, Wiem Zin Labidin, and you are listening to Tech Tag Podcast. Today, our guest is Ayoub Fakir. He is a data engineer freelancer and part-time university teacher specialized on distributed systems. Let's meet Ayoub and learn more about his journey. Hello, Ayoub. Welcome to Tech Tag.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm curious to hear some fun facts about yourself.
What can I say? My mother is a musician. She plays violin, and she always wanted me to become an artist in some way. And so she was forcing me, to go to music lessons and try to become a nice violin player. But at some point when I turned 18, I just figured out that this wasn't something for me. And so, started doing everything IT related, which, became and is still my passion. But now the fun fact is that I regret, and I'm planning to buy a nice violin again and try to get back to it because, mothers are always right. And she was right. I didn't know it. So let's see how this goes.
Nice. And how did you get passionate about programming?
Well, when I was in at the end of mid school and the beginning of high school, I was playing a game called Dofus. It is a MMORPG where you play with people. You have a character, and then you up levels, and then you have a whole life in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so my dream was to become a game developer at some point, and I wanted to work for this company because for 4 years my life was going around this game, and I loved everything IT related. For example, sometimes they had problems in their servers, and then I tried to learn more about why they have problems in their servers. I think this was one of the triggering points of my passion about IT. But I think it started way before, because I remember I was 7 or 8 years old, and my mother bought me a computer. I remember it was a Pentium 1 or 2, and she bought it for me and my uncle, which is her youngest brother. And at some point he was preparing his PhD in literature, and she bought it for me so I can be able to use a computer, and for him so he can write his PhD. And so at some point when we got the computer, we turned it on, and he wanted to start Microsoft Word. And the problem is that we clicked once at the icon, and then we waited for hours. And we thought, well, this thing is not working because we clicked on this icon and it doesn't open up. And so, we went to see a neighbor of ours who was, known to be a good IT guy back then. And then he came to our house, and then he double clicked on this icon, and it worked. And it was magic. We said, "Wow!" And it was crazy. And I said that the game was the triggering point, but I'm not sure anymore, because I think the contact with computers, with the machines, and with this abstraction that we have as IT people just made sense to me at some point. And I think that's who I am, or who I became.
It's mostly you like it, the way how thinking about solving problems, and this leads to algorithm and programming. Maybe this is related.
Yeah. Well, my reflection about this, changed along the way. And now the way I see it is that programming teaches us a lot of things, among them humility, among them being able to, not give up in front of problems, in front of issues, because, when you are programming or doing something IT related, you have more problems time than success time,
Yeah.
And so you spend a lot of time not knowing what you are doing, and then at some point it works, and sometimes you know what you did, and sometimes you don't know what you did. And so this way of seeing life as not always being right, and the thing that, well, let me state it this way: it teaches you that problems are part of your daily life, and all you have to do is to deal with them and not avoid them. Because when you are programming, you cannot avoid the problems, because otherwise you're not going anywhere. And so you face them and you try to solve them and find, solutions to the problems that you are facing. And I think it teaches us a lot about life in general, I think. So.
Yeah, interesting perspective. And then you choose during your educational path to study computer science, or how was exactly your educational path?
I always sucked in school, like literally. I was, during high school, I was not able to have good grades for some reason. And I think one of the reasons is that it didn't make sense to me, everything that they were teaching us. For example, like today, I work a lot with math problems, and, we know it with functional programming and these kinds of things. You deal with math on a daily basis. Yeah. But I have always been told that I sucked in math. And at some point, I thought that it was true, that indeed I sucked in math. And at some point, when I was in front of a math problem, my brain used to tell me, don't even try. You're not going to be able to understand what's going on. And at some point, I just stopped trying. And, I had bad grades for my whole high school. And this resulted, of course, in the fact that I couldn't join any proper engineering school, at least in Morocco. If you don't have a nice grade in high school, you cannot go anywhere pretty much. And so I got my baccalaureate degree, the high school degree. And so the only place I could go was the public university. So I went there, and I, for some reason, got accepted in the mathematics and computer science branch. And so I started for 1 year, but for 2 semesters, we didn't touch a computer. We only did some abstract math with algebra and stuff that didn't make sense to anyone. But, everyone was pretending that they were learning or understanding something. But the thing is that none of our 700 people promotion were understanding anything about what the professors were saying, because it was so abstract for people just going out of high school. And so I abandoned after the first semester. I joined the call center because, I grew up in a family where I became fluent in French at a young age. And so it was easy for me to,
In Morocco, right?
Yeah, in Morocco, yeah. I mean, most of my uncles and aunts are French literature university teachers. One of them is English literature teacher, but most of them are French-speaking people, and so I learned French at home and at school, and so I joined this call center, and things were going well. I had some money, and it was nice, but I knew that I could not stay in there long. And so I had this discussion with my mother that there was this computer science engineering school, which is private. You need to pay, I think it was 4K euro per year, which was a lot for us at this point. And so I told her, I'm just going to work in this call center for 6 months and then not go back to the university and try to, pay at least the first year. And I told her, let's find a way so we can pay the remaining of the years. It was a 4 years engineering school, and then from there, it's either you finish your master's degree in Morocco or you go to France. And so we didn't know what to do back then. And she said, well, okay. Well, the story in this is that I was raised by my mother alone. And she is, I think, the most courageous. And she fears nothing. She fears no one. And she trusted in me, even though, lots of people were saying, given his grades, he's not going to go anywhere. But she just ignored all this noise and she just trusted in me for some reason. I guess because I'm her son, so she did.
I think it is important, like her support was important for you. Like when you will find what is exactly your passion, she encouraged you to do whatever you are interested on, because she believed that if you will like that, you will be brave on it.
Yeah, I mean that's the role of a mother, I think, because there is this thing that I believe in, is that no matter who you are, no matter how bad you are, no matter how good you are, everyone eventually, even the people who love you the most, lovers, friends, best friends, brothers and sisters, whatever, they will all quit at some point if you have trouble, if you have problems, if you're a bad person, whatever.
Yeah.
Your mother is the only person that will not let you go for any reason. And this is something that empowers me a lot. And there is this, I'm going to tell you a story where in the last year of high school, she saw my grades, and in Morocco, I think in France as well, and in lots of countries, not northern countries, I think, people compare their kids a lot.
Oh yeah.
And so, yeah, and this is annoying. This is annoying because you cannot compare, I mean, people are different and kids are different, and you cannot just compare two people. But no, the fact is that it was a lot of comparison. And she was seeing that her friends were very happy about their kids, good grades, preparing their applications for big schools and stuff. And I wasn't part of those because I sucked in my grades and stuff. And so at some point she decided to go to see my math professor in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went to talk to him and she said, what do you think about my kid? How far can we go? Just give me your feedback about his performance, let's say. And he was sorry for her. And he said, ma'am, I'm just sorry to tell you that, but he is not smart enough. And we have, I'm not sure I'm sure he's not going to med school or to this engineering school, for which we need to have good grades and stuff. And so he gave her this advice to put me in the military or put me to become a male nurse or something, because he felt that that's the best of all my capabilities. And the thing is that she looked at him and she said, and I was next to her, she said, I know my son will become something big. I don't know how, but I know he will. And my only hope is that I really hope that he's not going to suck in his life the way you did. And she just left the professor, standing there with his words. And it was very powerful, and it empowers me a lot, because she could have had this reaction where she would just, cry or tell me that I'm worthless or anything, but she didn't. She just defended me in front of this guy.
She's amazing. It's really powerful. It means a lot.
Of course.
I can imagine how the situation was hard. Like this really empower you. I can imagine that.
Oh, of course. A powerful mother is. I mean, I thought a lot about this question. Given the fact that I grew up without a father, and I think both are important. Having a father and a mother are very important, and both give you, different perspectives about life and different ways of thinking, and they empower you in different ways. But I cannot describe the power of a mother. Actually, it's way too huge for the little vocabulary that they can have. So
yeah, I am now a bit emotional. I think I'm grateful that there is no camera. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It's very valuable to have a mother like your mom.
Yeah.
And how did you start your career in the beginning? Did you Oh my God, sorry, I cannot be emotional and speak.
Go ahead. No problem. Okay, let me answer this. Answer this so you can, get a glass of water. So well, yeah, I went to this private engineering school, and I paid for almost the first year. And for some reason, I don't know if it's God or the universe or something. I have no idea what this is, but she started getting some contracts. Well, my mother is a music professor, and so she works for the Moroccan state,
Mhm.
and the salary is so low that you cannot live with that and pay engineering school and stuff. And so at some point, at the end of the first year, she got a contract with a private school, and it was paying like 3 times the salary that she had. And it was so amazing. And she's like, yeah, well, now I can pay for your engineering school and then have some money aside. And it was very nice for us. And so second year, it was going well for me, didn't have much great grades, but I was doing okay. During the third year, I started doing some freelancing job, and financial situation became better and better. And so fourth year, I had for some reason good grades, and I was accepted in a master's to finish my master's degree here in France.
Mm-hmm.
We had this very nice professor that I will never forget. His name is Fabrice Mourlin. And we had this interview in Morocco back then, and we had such a nice connection that he said, well, just come and we'll have a good time. And we did. And so I finished my master's degree. It was a master's degree in distributed systems. And, I learned lots of things about big data and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that I wanted to do something data related. And before joining this master's degree, I was in Morocco. And if you want to move from Morocco to France, you need some money for your visa, and then you need money to live in this country. And the problem is that we didn't have enough money for that. And so one solution for me was to do an apprenticeship. So it's basically working at a company while studying, and it's made for that. Actually, it's 2 days in your company and then 3 days at the university, and at some point, you do this for the whole year. And when you do that, you have a pretty decent salary. I think I was paid 1,200 euros for a student. It's a lot. And I was working for Crédit Agricole, which is a corporation bank here in France.
Mm-hmm.
And back to the story of how I started. I knew that I wanted to do something with data. I was reading a lot of papers about what is data, what is big data, what we can do with this and stuff. And I had to put a foot in there somehow. And so when I started applying to these companies to get my apprenticeship, I wasn't accepted anywhere because it's so hard. Even now I see it for a lot of students on LinkedIn, for example. They are struggling as hell to find apprenticeships. And so I was applying for 2 months. I think I applied 1,000 times to a lot of companies. Didn't get, sometimes you get answers, sometimes you don't get anything, but for 2 months I didn't get anything. And I have a cousin who was doing his PhD back then, and he told me, well, I have an idea for you so you can have a better CV. I said, yeah, tell me about it. And he said, well, let's write a scientific paper together to just showcase what you know about data, and let's write this together. And I said, yeah, okay. And we wrote this paper. I don't remember exactly the title of this paper, but it was something like how big data can benefit for big companies or something like that. And it was very nice. It took 3 weeks to write it together, and it was nice. We published it, and at some point I started, adding it to my applications, and it worked. I had 3 interviews. 3 of them accepted me pretty quickly, and then I just had a feeling with this manager at Crédit Agricole, and I joined. And I think it was the beginning of the journey, because once you get your foot in there and once you get your first experience, it's way easier down the road to continue in this path. The hardest thing is to find the first experience, and then from there things go pretty smoothly. Yeah.
It's not easy to find the first job. Now my sister is still in this stage in her life, and like if you have an advice for her, I'm pretty sure many people are having a hard time on funding their first job.
Yeah, look, when you are looking for your first job, people think that the companies are interested in their skills. That's not true. Companies, when you're young, when you're just out of the university, they are interested in your motivation, in your naiveness. Like they want you because you are young, you are fresh, not because of your skills, because you have no experience whatsoever. You're not going to add much to the company. However, they are in some way hiring you because of your, or thanks to your motivation. Because, when we are 22 years old or 23, we want to change the world.
Yeah.
And, we have lots of ideas and lots of things. Unfortunately, when we turn 40 or 30, we have less and less dreams. There was this guy, he said this sentence, which is very powerful, I think. I'm trying to remember it, but he said, the impulse of dream has been slowly taken out of me through the experience of life. And this is very powerful because I'm very sad that people, as they grow up, they stop dreaming. As they grow up, they stop wanting good things for themselves, and it just drives me crazy because that's not the way things should go.
Yeah.
I'm saying that because as we grow up, we are afraid of more and more things, right? And so, for example, when you are 3 years old, you are not afraid of talking in front of the public because we don't know that this is something that you should be afraid of.
True.
But when you turn 30, you know that this is, oh my God, talking to people, this is so hard. I cannot do that. And the problem with this is that it is a fear that we learn. I mean, let me tell you something. When we are born, we have only two fears that are natural. The fear of falling. Every baby is afraid of or scared of falling.
Mm-hmm.
And the fear of loud sounds. That's the only two fears that we have. This is biological.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, every other fears are fears that we learn down the road. We learn that you should not say no because people will become upset, and then we become scared of talking about it in front of people because we have been told that they are going to judge us if we are not good enough, and then we are afraid of interviews, and then we are afraid of failure, which is one of the biggest bullshit fears that we are taught ever, because failure is such a blessing when you are smart enough to learn from it.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but let's go back to your sister. The companies hire you because you are young, because you are motivated, and because you are just fresh as you are, and you didn't learn as much fears as the older people, which have more experience than you. And so what you should showcase when looking for a new job is not your skills. No one cares about your projects in school, and no one cares whether you know how to code in Python or PHP or whatever. They care about how motivated you are and how ready you are to learn what they are going to teach you. That's the only thing they are looking for. And I'm saying that because I happen to be hiring some people, junior people, more senior people and stuff. And the way I look at a junior people is way different than the way I look at senior people, because senior people, you hire him or her for their technical and capabilities and skills. It's not the case for junior people. So I think the biggest advice is to showcase and show how motivated you are. I mean, the person in front of you should see it in your eyes, and I know it because I teach at the university now, and I can clearly see the difference between a passionate kid and a non-passionate kid. And the difference between those is not skills, it's not technical abilities, it's the motivation and the stars in their eyes, I guess. So
like, it's a good mindset. There are like this positive mindset of some startups and companies, but sometimes you find companies that they ask for someone who has many experience, etc., and people who doesn't have any experience, this will create fear for them, new fear that says, oh, because I like how I would get an experience and no one will give me that opportunity, so I cannot find any job.
Yeah.
But I think that it's mostly about them. They are looking for something isn't compatible with you, but there are some startups and companies who are looking for people who just starting their journey.
Yeah, look, when I think that, and it's even more important and true, I think, today, is that people do not join companies. I mean, I don't care about which company I'm joining. I don't care about that. However, I do care about who my direct manager will be. I do care about who my colleagues will be. And I do care about the feelings that I'm going to have with these people. That's the most important thing. Other than that, being in company A or B is not relevant whatsoever. No one cares about that. And so, yeah, there are companies that are going to demotivate you and, who are looking for someone junior with 20 years of experience. These are assholes. And my advice is just to avoid these guys, because they're not going to last long, because this is not the right mindset. Because if you do not invest in your young people, in the young generation, it's not going to go to be things are not going to work out well for you. And the example that I have in mind now it's about the Barcelona football club. I'm going to talk about how it used to be until I think 4 or 5 years ago. This club was not about the stars that they were playing in the club, but it was about the schools, which were, I think, one of the best in the world. When you see, the young, the oldest generation of the players in Barcelona, you see Messi, you see Iniesta, Xavi, all these people, they are all from the Barcelona school, and they know them since they were young. And so they knew 20 or 30 years before that it was the way to go, which is trust your young people and make them grow with you. And it wasn't the case for other clubs like Real Madrid, for example. They just hire stars. The PSG, for example, they just hire stars, and they hope that things are going to work out with them, but they are not going to be a great club. They are a rich club, but they're not a great club. And so I think it applies to our companies as well. And I think my advice to young people is that if you encounter these kinds of situations, it's not about you, it's about them. Have empathy and just know that you are great. And if it doesn't work with this company, or if it doesn't work with the 100 companies that you applied for, you're going to find your way. Just don't quit. That's the only thing. And if you fail an interview, because I'm sure it's the same thing for you, even though we have a little bit of experience, we have interviews and we fail them. That's life. It's not a problem. Now, when you fail an interview, you have two ways to look at it. First way is to say that you are worthless and it's how things should be, and you're not going to be a successful person anyway, and you quit. And the second way to see it is to say that, well, I did not succeed in this interview. It doesn't mean that I'm worthless. It just means that I did not succeed in this interview, period. It's not me. I just couldn't be, it just didn't work. I'm going to still continue working on myself. This is crucial, but it doesn't mean that I'm crucial. And I'm saying that because I was reading a book from a former Lakers coach. I don't remember his name. It will come back. But at the end of each game, the Lakers, they are NBA All-Stars. It's no joke, these are professional athletes. And at the end of each game, especially the games that they lose, he gathers them and he says, how do you feel? And obviously they feel bad because they lost the game. And he says, today you were exposed to what we are I mean, today we were exposed to what we are right now. So if we lost the game, it doesn't mean that we are bad players. It just means that this game was lost, period. Maybe the other team was better than us. That can happen. Maybe we did not follow the strategy as we should have followed it. That happens. Maybe we were not trained enough for this particular game. That can happen. But it doesn't mean that we are losers. It just means that this game was lost, period. Now, what's the good attitude to have when you are in front of these kinds of situations? You continue working on yourself and you focus on the next battle, and then you try to win it. And if you lose it, that's fine. You still have another one.
Yeah.
And if you lose 100 battles, that's fine. You have the next one. And it's very hard to keep up with this mentality, but I think we should always remind ourselves that that we are great, that we are not worthless, and sometimes, unfortunately, the only good words that we might be hearing are the words that we say to ourselves. So don't be harsh on yourself. Of course, try the best as as best as you can to learn to be a better version of yourself, to become better and better technically and stuff. But do not say bad words to yourself. Do not say that you are worthless, and do not give up on yourself. There's this guy that I like. His name is Jordan Peterson. He said, treat yourself as if you are worth something. And this is very powerful because, when you eat junk food every day, you do not treat yourself as you are worth something. When you don't exercise, you do not treat yourself as you are worth something. However, when you dress sharp, when you go to the gym, when you eat healthy, then you treat yourself as you are worth something. And this is the most important thing. And once you start treating yourself as if you are worth something, then people start treating you with respect because you respect yourself. So
yeah, and the person could be their own enemy, like if they are harsh to themselves.
Oh, yes, because, this is something that's very important, and you see it in almost all the great literature. When you read some great authors like Proust or Jane Austen or maybe Shakespeare, even though I don't know him as much, you see that in their story there is no good and bad guys. However, you have the good and the bad guy in the same person, in the same soul. And so this is very powerful because, as you said, the enemy is within. Chase it. Just kick it out because you should not be your own enemy. You should treat yourself as if you are worth something. So
yeah, true. And after your first job, how did you progress in your career?
I didn't have a career plan per se. I just wanted to do some things that I enjoy and start learning new stuff. But I knew that I wanted to do something data related. And so after my master's degree, after my apprenticeship, I joined a consultancy company here in France, and just started doing consulting for. I mean, not consulting, but I was working for clients on a daily basis. Building and learning how to build data pipelines and writing code and doing things. And I have never had this mentality of working 9 to 5. I mean, my goal in the next years is to stop working for money. I really hope I can achieve that. But working to earn a salary, I think, is very dangerous. However, working because you are passionate is healthy. And if you get a salary thanks to that, then good for you. And this is, I think, how things should go. And so even though I had to work 9 to 5, I was trying to contribute to projects, open source, even though I sucked at it, and I still do suck at these things. But, you try to progress along the way. And then I started, giving trainings. And from there, I started, traveling around Europe and try to meet with people, attend conferences. And at some point, started being invited to speak at conferences, and you start to build a network, and you try to progress along the way. And I didn't have a career plan per se, but there is something that I'm sure of. It's that if you find your passion, something that you enjoy doing on a daily basis, then good for you. And just focus on this passion, and everything else is going to come. Money, good opportunities and stuff, everything is going to come. If you are working on a job which doesn't make you passionate, which if you have trouble waking up in the morning to go to work, then this is a red flag, a big red flag. And my advice is to keep trying lots of things until you find something that kicks you out of the bed every morning, and that you can enjoy on a daily basis and find your way down the road. So
yeah, that's right. And what do you think about luck versus opportunities?
I do not believe in luck. Like, not 1%. There is no luck whatsoever. There's this saying: it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than have an opportunity and not be prepared. And so maybe you can be lucky to be scrolling on Twitter and you see a nice opportunity. This might be luck, but I'm not sure the word is right. However, when you are ready, when you are prepared, then everything comes to you.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, maybe if you are walking in the street and then you find a big case full of money, well, this is like good for you, but it never happens. Maybe you participate in money games and you are lucky and you win, but this doesn't happen. I mean, no one that I know knows anyone that won in any money game. So you'd better focus on something else, because this thing is not going to work. And so I think we should always be prepared. And if you are lucky enough to encounter an opportunity, then take it, because you are prepared to take this opportunity. But just staying on the sidelines and waiting for something to come because God loves you, I don't believe in that.
Yeah, and I think the fact of being prepared makes you notice the opportunities, because sometimes
Exactly.
the opportunities are already there, but we cannot see them because we are focusing on something else. But then once we
Yes.
think that, oh, I'm ready to for something specific thing, then we notice, oh, it's already there for a long time or something.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you on this. I also don't believe in luck. And especially after, like, whenever I do an achievement and someone tells me you are lucky, I just get a flashback of my hard work, and then I see, what?
Yes. Yes. I mean, you work 20 hours a day and people call you lucky. Like, come on, this is not luck. Like, I mean, I don't sleep, man. I mean,
Exactly.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
While you are partying, while you are, I don't know, going to the bar, and good for you. Have a good time. That's none of my business. Just do your thing and make and do what makes you happy. But don't ever call it luck, because it's not.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that you are teaching at university. Did you start this since long time ago, or it's recently?
I teach at the university where I graduated from.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got my degree, I just had a good contact with professors there and the director and all these things. And so I wanted to go back, and I just asked them, and they said, well, of course, what do you want to teach? And I said, well, I like data, let's do something. And so, I started teaching, well, more broadly, distributed systems. And this is a blessing, because while, preparing your course and stuff, you learn a lot of things that you would not have had the ability to learn on your day job, because, most of the time when we do our daily jobs, you're focused on some specific thing and you don't have this broader picture of what you are building exactly.
Yeah.
And so, teaching helps you a lot. Uh, do that. And so there's one funny thing is that, um, I got my degree, and then I stayed in touch with the professors, and then I spent 1 year doing my job and stuff, and then I started teaching the year after. And my first course, I think it was in October. And so I went to this room of professors, just take some coffee and get my stuff to go to the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was this professor, he looks at me and he said, "Well, you're still here. I mean, I thought you got your degree. What the fuck are you doing here?" And I said, no, sir, we're colleagues now. I said, "Oh, okay, well, so, but yeah, it's very nice. And the nicest thing here is that when you teach people something and you see something illuminate in their eyes, I think this is something that nothing, no money, no cars, no houses can buy for you. It is just priceless. So,
and how did you manage working and teaching with it? I mean, time management, how to do both of these jobs?
Oh, I don't sleep. Do you sleep? I don't.
Wow.
No. Joke aside, well, it depends. Like for now, it's way easier for me because I have my own company. I'm freelancer, so I just tell my clients, "Look, I'm not going to be around Friday morning because I'm having something else," and it's way easier for me. When I was an employee, it was a little bit difficult, but each time I sign a contract with an employer, I just say, I give 32 hours, let's say, of courses per semester. I'm not willing to give up on that, so let's find something. Some way to arrange that. And most of the time they say, yes, that's not a problem. Just go do your thing. And yeah, when you do something that you enjoy, honestly, there is no time management question because it comes naturally. However, when you do something when you do things that you don't enjoy, that you are forced to do, then you have to think about time management and opening your calendar and, organizing things. So.
Good point. Actually, I always think about time management. I should look back and think about it again.
Well, the thing is that when people tell me I procrastinate,
yeah,
or I'm not motivated, well, this tells something about you. This tells something about what you are doing, because I don't know what you enjoy in life, but let's say you enjoy Zumba, right? You are not going to procrastinate to go to Zumba today at 8 p.m. You enjoy it. You're not going to give up on this. And if someone tells you, yeah, let's go have a drink or have dinner or something, you say, no, I have Zumba. You're not going to procrastinate on that because you like it. However, something that you don't like, you're going to procrastinate. Well, I'm going to do it tomorrow or after tomorrow or blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it tells something, and we should listen to ourselves, I think, because there's this thing that I know. It's that when I have a job and at some point I'm so into it that I don't listen to myself, and when I find myself struggling to wake up in the morning, then I know that I need to change something. This is something that it has never failed me. Each time I find myself for too many days in a row struggling to wake up in the morning, then I know that there's something going wrong and that I needed to solve it some way. So
that makes sense, actually. Okay, I will need some time to talk to myself and to figure it out. And now you are a freelancer. What pushes you to start a business also by yourself?
Because I hate it when someone says no to my vacations.
Oh,
like, I want to go. Yeah, man, come on. I want to take a week off. That's it. And end of the story. And I'm not waiting for your approval. And so, when you are a freelancer, you have this freedom to say, no or yes, and you take responsibility, because if I say I'm taking this week off, it means that I'm not going to get paid for this week, and it's fine with me if I chose it.
Yeah.
And if the client is not happy, then I'm not going to stop. I mean, I'm going to stop working with you because, well, we cannot get along together. And I mean, I'm not sure I'm made to listen to orders, and I'm not sure I was made to have an employer per se, with all the things that this brings. And so, I I I hate orders. I hate the military. I hate the uniforms. The only uniform that I like is the postmail or postman uniform. I love it. Other than that, well, don't give me orders. Just let's see how we can work together and have a good time. But that's it. So, but that being said, I hear a lot of bullshit of people saying, yeah, well, if you're not an entrepreneur, then you're worthless, or your life is not going the way it should be going. That's not true. That's not true. Just do whatever makes you happy. Because I have some friends who, are employees in different contexts, and they are very happy to, just have a stable job, and maybe they have a passion of something else, and they work for their passion, or they just want to have time to spend with their families and stuff. That's good for them, and that's perfect. Just do what works for you. There is no one size fits all kind of thing, because you
Yeah.
have a lot of motivational speakers and stuff. They say, yeah, well, you should be an entrepreneur. Like, no, be an entrepreneur if you have the appetite for it, and if it makes sense to you. If it doesn't, then don't. It's just going to make you miserable. That's that's
Yeah.
that's the whole point.
Especially everyone has their lifestyle. Sometimes people would like to be more stable, and it would be better for them to work for a specific company, or like, yeah, everyone has also their interest, and
Of
their
course,
goals. Yeah.
of course. And well, the thing is that if you are an employee, let's say, and you feel that you're not, that you are feeling a little bit miserable because you're way too much in your comfort zone and stuff, then maybe you should start thinking about changing something. I don't know what, but you should start, uh, thinking about something that should change in your life. However, if you're happy the way you are, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are an employee, whether you are trading cryptocurrencies all day long, whether you are anything, if it makes sense to you, if it makes you happy, then it's the right thing to do. If you wake up in the morning motivated, ready to solve problems, ready to progress, then that's the way to go.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. And I see that you are tweeting about Bitcoin. Tell us about that.
well, I discovered Bitcoin, I think it was back in 2015. I have a friend of mine who is a gynecologist, and
Mhm.
he's a geek for some reason, and he told me about this thing called Bitcoin, and he said, yeah, well, I just looked at it very briefly, and I told him, this is geek stuff. I'm not interested. It's way too geeky for me. And he insisted. He said, well, just look at it, because it's something that should make sense to you. It seems to be great, digital assets and stuff. Wow. And I just abandoned for a few months. And then in 2016, I just heard again about this Bitcoin thing, and I decided to read the white paper. And given my background back then in distributed systems and stuff, I said, wow, this makes sense. Like, I mean, um, the double spending problem, all these kinds of things, like, it just made sense to me. And I started getting deeper and deeper in this. And so, yeah, I still think that Bitcoin is something that everyone should be looking into. I still think that it's one of the safest, not investments, but one of the safest store of value assets that are out there. I think people should at least have the curiosity and the humility to just look into it, because it's not something that people were calling it a bubble, and then a scam, and then criminals' money, and then everything, and all of that is not true. And I think people should start looking into it, because it is here to stay. So it's either you join the party now, or you stay behind. So.
And like, do people need to read books about it before they started, or is it that easy? Because, like, for me, I'm interested, but I still like just sometimes I say maybe I will try it, but I have no idea about it. So I'm wondering, would it be easy for me to learn about it and to
Oh, for
start?
you for sure. For you for sure. I know your abilities, and you don't have a problem. You're not going to have problems with that. But I think you have different people in this space. You have people who go there for money,
Mm-hmm.
which is good for them. They go there, they try to learn how to invest, how to trade, and I'm not a trader. I'm not able to make money. Um, on a daily basis, looking at charts, etc. However, I can tell you the global tendency of where the market is going. But this is the investment part of it, which is good. I mean, I know some people who do very well in there, and good for them. And then you have the technical side of this, which is very important and very interesting. At least for me, that's how I got interested in this space, which is a very nice application of what distributed systems are and how they should be. And one thing that I love is the amount of innovation and motivation that's in this space, which I think is unprecedented. Um, and so, to get back to the question, I think there's one guy who convinced more than one person to at least look into it a little bit deeper. Yeah, his name is Andreas Antonopoulos. I think he was born in Greece and then he moved to the US. He was auditioned by the Canadian Senate, for example, and he convinced a bunch of old people to at least start looking into this thing called Bitcoin. It was back in 2014, I think. And I think the first thing is to listen to his talks and then read his books. He wrote a very nice book called The Internet of Money, where he talks deeply about the technical and then the philosophical side and the societal side of this Bitcoin thing. And so, yeah, and then you can see you can watch my TEDx talk about blockchain as well, which is a good resource to go. So,
I was about to ask you about your experience doing your TEDx talk. Tell us how it started.
oh, I was watching a TED talk, and at some point I loved how it was. And so I said, because I have no limits whatsoever, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to apply for some TED talk. And it was, yeah, well, okay. And I started applying for French TED talks. In some cities, I started sending messages on Twitter and then applying and giving the summary of my subject and stuff. And then one TED talk, it was TEDx Orléans. They said, yes, we want to audition you and then see how things go. And they were, they liked my proposal and we had a small chat and they were very happy. And so I was. And so, yeah, we started, they said, okay, let's have this audition on, we are not going to ask you to come, just do it on Skype. And I said, yes, of course. And it was programmed for a Saturday at 1 p.m. And so I said, well, no problem. Well, the problem then is that it was Ramadan, and you just don't wake up because it's you don't eat, and it's very hard.
Yeah.
And so especially in Europe. And so I said, okay, no problem. And then it was Friday night, as usual. During this month, you stay late, and then you eat and then you sleep and stuff.
Yeah.
And so at 12 p.m., someone called me and it woke me up. And, I answered the phone call, and which, by the way, you should never answer a phone call while you are sleeping because you just say crap. Just don't. Just wait and call them back because it never works. And so anyway, I answered the phone call, and then it was 12:05, and they said, I still have 55 minutes. Let's go a little bit back to sleep, and I will just wake up 15 minutes before because I don't have to eat or anything. Just get a shower, take a shower, and I will be ready for 1 p.m. Well, next thing you know, I woke up at 3 p.m. and I went to my computer in a rush. It was 3 p.m. I opened Skype. The guys were calling me. I didn't answer, obviously, and so I just sent him a message. I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I had a big problem. Can we please do the call now?" And the guy's answer was, "No, sorry. Have a good day." And I was so shocked. Like it was my opportunity to give this damn TED talk. And so then it motivated me even more. I said, "You know what? I'm going to do some TEDx talk." And I started applying for all TEDx talks that I could find in the internet. And at some point, it was this. I found this TEDx Marrakesh. I said, "Well, why not?" And I applied. I applied with a big email with the subject and stuff, and they said yes. And it's still organized by a German lady, which name I forgot, but she organized this every year with two of her friends. And so yeah, she said yes, and yeah, it was one of the best talks that I gave, not because of its quality, but in terms of the feelings that I had, because I was so afraid before going on the stage, and they had a blank for 5 seconds before starting because I couldn't remember my script. And then by the end of the talk, I just had one thing in mind, which was to get back there and keep talking. It was a very nice experience.
And from what I know about TEDx talks, it is limited on time, right? It should be exactly with a specific. Is it 20 minutes or?
Yes, and it makes it even harder, because how would you talk about something like blockchain in 20 minutes? It doesn't make sense. But you have to find ways to give examples. The goal of TEDx talks is not to talk about technicalities, but to try to make people curious about what you're talking about, so they can go find stuff by themselves. And it's a very nice exercise to try to put your thoughts and condense them in 18 minutes, and not be boring, and give examples and have stories. So
I can imagine how much you have to be prepared, really, really prepared, because like the script you mentioned, it means that you have to prepare what you are going to say, etc.
Well, this is very interesting, because I had an outline, which is I'm going to talk about this and that and that. And I didn't write a script back, at the beginning. And I was like, I'm used to go to conferences, and it should be okay. And so however, the organizers are German people, and these people do not joke. And so they invited us 4 days before. They gave me it was the first time I get a suite in a hotel. It was wonderful. And so the first day, well, I arrived, I think, at 3 p.m., get your room and everything. And then they said, well, okay, let's do a rehearsal. And I said, yeah, no problem, with all the other speakers. And when it was my turn, the room was empty, but I think it's 800 people room, so it's big. And I couldn't say any word. Like, it was a rehearsal. There was just the organizers in front of me, and I couldn't say anything. And it was just, saying crap, and and I felt very bad. And I said, well, these guys should think that I'm a joke, because I'm not able to say anything. And it was very intimidating. But the thing is that they know what they're doing. They said, okay, it happens to everyone. Just go back there and write some script, some proper thing, and learn it by heart. I said, well, okay, now I know how I should do this. And so, yeah, I went back, and it was a nice hotel that I didn't enjoy much, but because I was, just writing my thing and trying to learn it by heart. And it worked out, because, well, I think the talk went smoothly. And so, well, one lesson we can get from this is that you can be the best speaker, the best programmer, the best whatever. If you are not prepared, things are going to go bad for you. So when I was working for a consulting company, I was doing a little bit of pre-sales jobs, and we went to clients trying to convince them that we are the best for their architecture and blah blah blah. And I had this manager. He's very nice. He told me once. He told me, I'm okay if we fail, but I'm not okay if we did not prepare enough. Like, if we fail, given the fact that we were 100% prepared, then it's not a problem because maybe the other guys were better than us. But if we fail because we didn't prepare ourselves to all the questions, all the edges, and um, uh, like we just didn't give it 100% of preparation, then this is a big issue. So
Yeah.
prepare yourself to whatever challenges you face.
Yeah, that's totally right. I remember during many talks, it wasn't good feeling that after the talk, I think that I regret the time that I didn't prepare, and I think like I prepared at last minute sometimes,
Mm,
but then
mm.
I think that it shouldn't be that way, and it's better to give the time to prepare and to provide a good talk and to be clearer.
Yeah, exactly.
Not because most of the time I was spontaneous. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you trust your experience, and we all do that, which is completely fine. But there is a difference between trusting your experience and, as you said, having a clear message in what you say. And yeah, I mean, it never hurts to properly prepare for talks, but you know, sometimes it's just
Yeah.
because for example, well, I know you love this guy, and so do I. When you see the talks of John Digos, it's just so
Yeah.
smooth that well, obviously he's way more experienced than we are, and everything, but it's a matter of preparation as well,
Yeah.
because when you just listen to one of his talks, it's not, I mean, he's not how can I say, improvising. It's not improvisation. It's experience and hard work and preparation. So
Yeah,
you know.
that's right. Yeah, and especially under the circumstances when you see a lot of people, etc. Even you trust that you know what you are going to talk about. I really had that feeling many times that I couldn't find the words. Like I relied on what I know,
Mm,
but at that time I
mm.
saw a lot of people, and I lose the words. Like I cannot find.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say. Well, especially for us, we are not. I mean, for me, it's way easier to do it in French, but for English, for example, we are not native speakers. We're just, at some point you try to find your vocabulary and you look for words because it's not natural for us. And this means that we need way more preparation then.
Yeah.
Um, so we avoid improvising and stuff, but that's, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to look back on my Twitter. I remember I shared something about like the people who try to tear down others. I couldn't find it,
Mm.
and we had some interaction there. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I do remember. I don't remember the exact words, but until you find it, I mean, I can say something. You have
Yeah.
lots of people who try to, yeah, as you said, tear you down and sometimes humiliate you and all these kinds of things. And I truly believe that it says way more about them
True.
than it says about you. I mean, I have had some of them, and I still encounter some of them in my life. But these guys, I have so much empathy in their regard. I want so hard to help them
Mhm.
because they are struggling, really. What's your benefit, or what benefit you can get from humiliating people or tearing down people? None.
Yeah.
Zero. Just making people feeling bad. And uh, I'm so sorry for you if you're like, if you're like this, because you truly need help, really, because some people cannot help it. They just feel, or at least they think that they feel good while tearing people down. And I'm really sorry for them, because that's so unfortunate, I think.
Yeah. That's right. I found that it's tearing others down won't get you any higher. And you said it only shows how down you are yourself. With those people that I usually apply empathy because they need it.
Yeah.
I know that we can ignore, like the solution is to ignore, like whatever they say, we shouldn't take it personally. It's more, as you mentioned, it's more. It tells more about them. But sometimes it is dangerous when other people listen to them and become many people against you just because of misinformation, and this can destroy the person. Do you see the point?
Yes, 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 yes. Well, I think it's two different subjects because, well, there is people who try to tear you down, and I think the best way is to ignore them.
Yeah,
But um, if you feel them, I mean, you can ignore them. I don't do that. I just stand up for myself. And if you even dare to try to do something to me like that, you're going to have a bad day. There will be consequences. So don't even try. That's all I'm asking you to do.
mm,
But sometimes, of course, you have to, just, yeah, ignore the noise. Even though it's very hard, when someone says something bad about you, you can ignore it all you want. It's, you think about it still, at least a little bit.
yeah,
That's human nature. I cannot tell you that I'm fully here, I'm fully isolated from these kinds of comments and stuff. But what can you do? It's you learn to live with that, because there's one thing that I learned that changed my life, which is that it's very normal and maybe healthy to have enemies. That's Everyone is not going to like you. You will have enemies. You
yeah,
will have people who don't like you because of your face. Sometimes, what can you do about it? You cannot change your face, so fuck them. You will have people who are not going to like you because of your religion. You have people who are not going to like you because of your sex, because of your beliefs, because of your whatever.
yeah,
What can you do? Just deal with it. You're not going to be liked by anyone, but by everyone. However, try to be surrounded by quality people, even though you have like one good friend or two or three. You don't have to have many people that
yeah,
you get along with. That's completely okay. And when you learn that it's normal for people to hate you, it's normal to have enemies, then you
yeah,
just deal with it. And that's that's it. And I think there is it's never a bad idea to stand for yourself, really.
yeah,
Because if you're a coward, if you say yes to everything, if people say bad things to you and you just accept and stuff, it's going to do you a lot of harm in the long term.
yeah,
So, just stand up for yourself, because if you don't, no one else will do.
yeah, that's right.
So, and if you stand up for yourself, and well, if you are in a position where you see someone hurting someone else and you can say something, then please do. That's a moral duty. Do talk to the person who has been harassed, or if you have the power, just go talk to the person who is harassing or saying bad things to the person, because it
Yeah,
doesn't help anyone to have this kind of attitude. It's the same thing where you know you have sometimes girls being harassed in the public
yeah,
transportations and no one lifts a finger. I said, man, come
yeah,
on. I mean, if it was your mother or your sister or your wife or your um, friend or whatever,
yeah,
I mean, uh, just stand up for for the weak, no matter the circumstances.
yeah,
Just do. It always pays off.
yeah, that's right. I remember like one of the experiences was that I found out some people are like it's about at work, for example, like it
Yeah.
starts from one person, but then that person spread misinformation,
Mm-hmm.
and many people started hating me without knowing the reason, and it became
Yeah.
like the whole environment. It affects the environment,
Of
and I
course.
think the best way. I mean, yeah, you're right that the person should stand up for themselves, and it is good and better if other people will also support the victim, because it's
Of
really
course.
like yeah, it is
Yeah.
it
Of
is
course.
part of
Mm.
humanity also.
But then when you have this, when you have this kind of situations, well, I think usually that it says a lot about the environment,
Yeah,
which is a toxic environment, and then you just quit because it's not the right
exactly.
the right environment for you. You're not going to change it. You gain nothing from changing it, and if people are mostly assholes, then because sometimes when I well, now I work mostly remotely, but when I was working and
Hmm.
traveling to the office and stuff, sometimes some people uh, try to come to me and say, "Oh, did you know that this person, this guy, this girl did this and blah blah blah?" And I just stop them right away. I said, "How your information is going to be of a benefit for me? None. It's
Yeah,
just gossip." So I just don't have the appetite for that. If you have um, something valuable to tell me, I mean, about something that we can learn, or just if you have a joke to tell me, I'm so happy to learn about it. But that's it. I don't want any gossip whatsoever. And well, this is in one hand, and in the other hand, there's one thing that I think is very toxic, especially in startups today. It's the culture of feedback.
hmm,
This is so annoying because, well, the culture of feedback is coming to you and saying, you know what, I want to talk to you for 1 hour." You say yes, and I'm going to tell you all the bad things that I think about you, like you're not doing a good job. I saw that you, opened the PR without unit tests. What the fuck? It's not serious, and blah blah blah. And then, what the hell? What's the point of all of this? I mean, that's so unhealthy
yeah,
to just go to people and tell them all the crap that they did. Well, fine. Maybe you opened this PR without unit tests because you didn't know what you were doing, or it was an issue that you hated working on and you just wanted to get rid of it or something. I don't
yeah.
know what exactly, but and I had this discussion in one of the startups I was working on.
Hmm.
I didn't do so many, so it's not hard to find out. We had this cultural feedback, and at some point, this guy he came to me and he said, "Well, Ayub, I want to have this." Well, the CTO was promoting this feedback culture, and it was like, just go to the person, ask them to go in a meeting room, and then tell them your feedback.
Hmm.
I said, "Well, okay." I didn't play the game, but someone came to me and he said, I want to have this one-on-one feedback session with you if you have time." I said, "Yes, but I can only go with you in this meeting room if you are going to give only positive feedbacks about me." He said, "It's not the point." I said, "It's the point for me. I'm not interested in all the crap that you're going to say. If you have something negative to say about me, I'm not interested. I'm only interested in things that would empower me." And it may sound a little bit harsh, and it may sound as if I wasn't trusting myself, but it's not the case. It was more of like, everything bad that you're going to say about me is going to be subjective anyway. And I'm not interested in your opinion, in your bad opinion about me, because everyone has bad opinions about anyone. And well, yours is not interested to me. So if you have something positive to say about me, then no problem. This will just make me have a good day and stuff. And he said, "Well, then we're not going to be having this session." I said, "Good for both of us." And the curious thing is that he came to me 2 days after. He told me, "I had a few sessions about with people. They said crap about me. I felt so miserable, and you are fucking right. Let's go do this feedback session. And I'm just going to say the things that I think are good about you, and you do the same, and let's grow together." And it was a very nice session. Just telling him about how good I think he was about lots of things and stuff. And I think that's what I think about this feedback culture.
And I think it is also a way of communicating. Sometimes we need to inform a person about a feedback. It's a constructive feedback to be able to progress. For example, if someone doesn't notice the structure of the branch name in the company. For example, they have a specific naming
Yeah.
and they always doesn't do that, and they did because they didn't know. So empathy also, we should understand them. They didn't
Mm.
know, they didn't. And then we try to make that clear, maybe saying in general that we name branch this way and etc.
Mm.
as an information, or like it's always challenging also to give constructive feedback.
Well, it depends on. I think it depends on the whole attitude,
Yeah.
because if you are in normal interactions harsh with the person, of course, if you tell him or her that your branch is misnamed, then they are going to feel bad about it.
Defensive also sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. However, if your general attitude is kindness, and people look out to you, and the difference between someone kind and open and welcoming is you see it from miles. It's not very hard to see.
Yeah, true.
When people are open, if you are harsh and stuff, then we are going to make people uncomfortable anyway. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I think we are ready to wrap up. If you have an advice you would like to share with people who start their journey, or also who are having some challenges.
Well, I don't usually like to give advice because, well, we all need them. But yeah, for the people who are starting their journey, I would say, don't give up on what you think is right, even though you lack experience. Because there's something very interesting is that you can read all the books you want. There is something which is called experience, which only comes with time. You cannot help it. It comes with time. You can read in a book that doing this is bad, but when you have experience with it, it's way more powerful. And so give yourself time. It's okay if you don't know things. Just try to learn on a daily basis. Constantly. And it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail interviews. It's okay to apply 1,000 times and don't find anything. That's completely okay. And it doesn't say nothing bad about you. It's just the way things they are. And I think the difference between people there, it's that some quit and some do not. And so and those who do not quit, at some point they find their ways. It's cliche to say that don't quit, but I think it's so true that just continue applying, continue working on yourself, and things are going to be good for you without you even noticing them. So that's the thing. And for people especially in the workplace, we need, I think, more people who stand up for themselves and who stand up for others. This is very, very important, because when you do, other people are going to stand up, and it will create this peaceful environment that everyone will be more than happy to live in. And I think a lot of problems would be solved by people having courage to stand up for themselves and for others. So
I think also it's part of the responsibility. If someone value kindness and honesty and empathy, they make sure that everyone is treated equally and they are safe, etc. And once they see anything that if they see there is harassment happening or any situation, they stand up for the victim and make sure that the environment is safe.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just human nature. When you can say something to help someone in need, please just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it, because come on, it doesn't cost you anything, and it just going to help someone in need. So why wouldn't you do it? And I promise you, it makes you feel so good.
Yeah.
There is this guy, it was Denzel Washington. He said that the most selfish thing in the world is to help someone else. Why is it selfish? It's because the way that you feel after helping someone makes you so good that nothing can buy it. No money, no houses, no anything.
Yeah.
And so,
this is very true. I get excited when I feel someone was happy because an action from me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wonder it feels selfish because I feel happy. It's like,
yes,
yeah,
and good for you. It's good for you. It's selfish, well, good, but it's selfish and it helps someone else. So
yeah,
it's a win-win situation at its finest. So
yeah, that's true. Thanks for the valuable advice.
Oh, you're welcome.
I enjoyed our conversation.
Me too, a lot. Thank you, yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, and talk to you very soon.
My friends, I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. And if you are still looking for a job or you just started your journey, I encourage you, like Ayub mentioned, to keep going. Even it is hard, but keep going. Don't give up. You are not alone. Many people like you have faced different struggles, but at the end they made it because they didn't give up. And like the difference between successful people is that they go through challenges, they failed a lot. At the end, they didn't give up, so they became successful. Be like them, and I wish you all the best. I'm looking forward to our next episode with a new guest and new inspiring story. Until then, stay safe and stay tuned to our next episode. Tic Tac, tackle the inspiration.